Welcome to Season 4 of the Changing Earth podcast with Sara F. Hathaway. Blending survival fiction and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sara F. Hathaway.
Hello and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 131, Season 4, Episode 7. Audiobook update. I'm still going through the rigors of getting my audiobook all completed. I guess it was accepted. I don't know. I must have gotten like the pickiest audiobook editor ever. So I'm jumping through more hoops than I ever have had to in the past. But we'll get it all situated. I guess it's just a problem with one more chapter. I don't know. I didn't see a problem with it, but guess he did. So we're gonna try to get that going for you. As soon as I have those codes, I'll be doing the giveaway, and that'll be fun. And I know I keep teasing you with it, but I'm dealing with them, so I don't know what to tell you. I'm like, maybe I should have just gone back to my old mic instead of the expensive one at this point. Or maybe they're just increased their, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, we're dealing with it. So I'm still getting ready for the Self-Reliance Expo. It's coming up end of March 23rd and 24th, I believe. And that's going to be down in Mesquite, Texas. And I'm going to have a booth down there. I'll get to meet all my fans. But also, I'll be mediating a survival panel. Some great folks on that panel. Can't wait. I get to meet some new folks. And then get to meet some folks that I know in person. That's going to be a lot of fun. So, still getting ready for that. Just been hanging out with my buddies, playing airsoft and working my booty off. And back to training. Holidays are over, so onward and upward from here. Last week in the Battle for the South story, Master Sergeant Bennett was headed down to Austin to catch up with Vince and Erica. And this week, we are going to join Vince and Erica in Austin. And they're kind of settling in here. They're meeting some people, seeing what they can do, seeing what the resources they can use. So it's kind of a look behind the scenes. It's what's going on to keep these fighting forces moving and keep these populations sustained. We're going to talk a lot today about household items and just everyday things that we don't really think about that we're going to need in an SHTF situation just to maintain ourselves and our households. So here today is Jane Austen. She's Survivor Jane, and she has written a bunch of books about this. We're going to introduce them when I introduce Jane, and she just has a ton of information on these survival items that, maybe have slipped our mind a little bit. So I can't wait to welcome her to the show. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and listen to Chapter 7, Battle for the South. Chapter 7. "You must be the luckiest sons of bitches alive," Melvin declared as he opened the back of the truck. "We're finally here." "Where?" Erica wondered, noticing a crowd had gathered around the truck. "Welcome to New Austin, home of the free," Melvin announced to the cheer of the crowd. Erica didn't feel ready to face a crowd. She still stunk of dying flesh. Vince felt her exhaustion and hugged her tightly. "Go for it, Sparkplug," he whispered to her. Erica gathered her strength and appeared gracefully in front of a throng of people. "It's her! It's Erica Moore!" someone shouted. Erica smiled and waved, feeling recharged by their excitement. The crowd quieted in anticipation of hearing her talk. From somewhere deep down inside her, instinct took over. "I know it has been a long road for all of us," she announced, looking into the hardened eyes of these unknown survivors. "But America is in shambles, broken by the very system put in place to save her destruction," she continued, pausing to let the crowd cheer. "No doubt we have been tested, and each one of us has found a unique way to survive," she congratulated them. "But survival is not enough anymore. We are fighting for the future of this great nation. It was once a place where all people were created equal, regardless of land ownership status." The crowd roared in response. "And so it shall be again," Erica screamed, raising her hand into the air. The mass of people chanted her name and celebrated her arrival merrily. Vince had appeared behind her, and at Melvin's urging, he pulled Erica away from the crowd. Guards at the gates of a large white building welcomed them warmly. The building looked like a castle, and Erica was in awe. They followed Melvin to a U-shaped complex that stood beside the manor. It was like a small village with a restaurant, a medical center, and additional buildings where militia soldiers were entering and exiting. Erica assumed these were residences. "Couldn't have said it better myself," Melvin commented to Erica. "I think I'm going to like you." "Thanks," Erica responded quietly. She had expected a scolding like the one she had usually received from Master Sergeant Bennett. She didn't really know how to feel about all this praise, but she was beginning to like it. "Where are we, Melvin?" Erica wondered. "This used to be St. Edward's College, or St. Ed's, as we alumni call it," he explained. "We fought bitterly for this piece of land in between the highways so we could have access to the Colorado River. The damn feds kept pushing us south. The city was in big trouble after the quake. The dams that controlled the Colorado River broke. The sky rises toppled over. But after the fighting, Austin was annihilated. The buildings at this college fared well, and the governor likes the campus." Melvin opened the door to one of the residential buildings in the village area. A tall lady with long brown hair met them at the door and welcomed them into the lobby. "Hello, Janelle," Melvin greeted her. "Hello, sir. How was your trip?" Janelle replied formally. "More exciting than I would have liked, but we made it. I'd like to introduce Erica and Vince Moore," Melvin announced. "This is Janelle Akerson, my most trusted confidant. She'll make sure you're taken care of," he directed Vince and Erica. Then he turned back to Janelle. "We have a meeting with Governor Dixon at 1700. Make sure they are provisioned." "Yes, sir," she replied as Melvin left them in her care. Janelle turned to Vince and Erica. "It is my absolute pleasure to meet you." Erica could feel her sincerity and took an immediate liking to her. "Thank you. It's very nice to meet you," Erica replied. "I have followed your story closely. You've given the people some hope and spirit, and it's really working." Another constitutionalist was elected to the federal governing board. The tides are turning. "Maybe we'll be able to rejoin the country again soon," Janelle speculated. "How do you mean?" Vince wondered. "It's like Melvin was telling us before. The southern tip of Texas claimed their own sovereignty in exchange for oil and chemicals refined here. They call it the Freedom Zone, and it's not patrolled by the federal forces or the Mercs," Erica explained to her husband. Janelle stepped back. "Wow, you really know your history." "We would have no problems rejoining the country if they reinstated the Constitution," she commented. "Anyway, I thought we were the government's best-kept secret." "You are," Erica replied. "But I've been doing a lot of research on this new system they created, and I've met a few friends in high places." "I'm impressed," Janelle replied honestly. "I assumed you would be a babbling freedom-fighting figurehead like so many others that have come and gone." "I'm impressed with this place," Erica exclaimed. Inside, the layout was not what Erica expected. Many of the walls had been removed from some of the residence rooms to allow for supply storage and communal gathering places. The whole place seemed welcoming and centered around a sense of community. There's a lot more considerations nowadays. We had to come together if we wanted any sort of a life like we used to have. Luxury has to be maintained with a solid base of supplies, Janelle explained as they turned the corner and walked into another hallway. The corridor was beautifully decorated with various types of soaps packed onto shelves. The smells the bars produced wafted together into a delightful aroma. Erica anticipated how much better she would smell once she had used one of them. "Here's your room," Janelle declared as she opened the door. There was a time when entering a room like this would have been perfectly natural to Erica, but it was something she had not seen in a very long time. It was like stepping back into the past. The furniture strongly resembled the sets her husband and she had shared before the quake. The bed was nothing elaborate, just a simple wooden headboard with a queen-size mattress attached to it. "Is this going to be okay?" Janelle asked, noticing Erica's hesitation. "This is going to be perfect," Erica replied, still in shock. "The bathroom is right over here," Janelle declared, walking over and opening the door on the right. "It's a composting toilet, so don't worry about flushing." "Okay," Vince replied, unsure how the thing worked. "There's towels over here and clothes over there in the closet. Do you need anything else?" Janelle wondered as she headed towards the door. "No, thanks," Erica answered. "I'll have Badger bring some food from the kitchen. And then you'll have some time to rest before the meeting, Janelle concluded from the doorway. Sounds great. Thanks again, Vince declared as he closed the door. He turned and stared into Erica's chestnut eyes, cracking a smile. Then he grabbed her and held her tightly. We made it! Holy crap! We made it, Erica, he exhaled deeply. That was crazy, Vince, Erica agreed. I can't believe we're doing this. But my mom. And Greg, Penny, Harold, all of them, Erica. They'd all die, Vince worried, holding her tightly. And we may too, if we don't move fast enough. Brad didn't know the exact timing of the next quake, Erica shared his concern. She backed away from him again. What about all these people, Vince? Aren't we just doing the same thing if we don't tell them? But we can't create panic when we don't even know when it will hit, he countered. Exactly, Vince. That's why the officials won't say anything. That's why Bennett didn't want to tell me, Erica reminded him. Let's meet this governor first and then decide if we should tell him or not, Vince suggested. I like it, Erica countered. Now let's get this stink off us. Vince and Erica are facing some tough moral decisions. But at least they're all cleaned up again and feeling like human beings again. And, my mom used to always tell me that cleanliness is next to godliness. And here to explain how we can continue to maintain that level of hygiene, that level of household cleanliness, long into an SFTH situation, is survivor Jane. Like so many women, Jane was a self-professed, oblivious to what was going on around me city girl. She was clueless about politics, the economy, and the ever-changing weather patterns around her. It wasn't until she personally experienced a life-threatening assault at gunpoint, lived through several violent hurricanes, and watched as her 401k dwindled down to next to nothing that her eyes began to open to what was going on around her. In 2008, she took a huge leap of faith, quit her corporate job, sold her home for next to nothing, cashed in her 401k, which is even more than next to nothing, and moved to Western North Carolina to live a more self-sustaining, self-reliant lifestyle. Giving up the life of eating at different restaurants each night and having her nails and hair done every 2 weeks, she began to research how to prepare for uncertain times and still regain her girliness. While researching preparedness websites, she noticed that most were male-oriented. Frustrated at the need to research a word, phrase, or term that she didn't understand each time she went to one of these sites, it began to dawn on her that the reason she didn't understand these sites was because a lot of them were written by men, and as we all know, men and women speak a different language and therefore process information differently. Jane decided then and there to make it her mission to educate others with an emphasis on women on how to prepare themselves by creating a website, survivorjane.com, writing on a multitude of topics dealing with disaster survival and preparedness, while interjecting bits and pieces of humor on personal experiences, discoveries, and her journey along the way. SurvivorJane.com also reaches preparedness-minded men who may have just begun their preparedness journey or have sent the women in their lives to the site, and in the process was also helped to better understanding preparedness from a woman's perspective. As an additional outreach, Jane uses social media networks. She's the creator of the internationally recognized hashtag PrepperTalk on Twitter and brings preparedness-minded people from all over the world together to discuss preparedness ideas, suggestions, and information with one another. It is currently the largest prepper community on Twitter. Jane has been featured on National Geographic's channel Doomsday Prepper Season 4 and a Newsweek special edition Off-Grid Prepper and Shooter magazine, Preparedness Magazine. She is a contributing writer to National Geographic's channel Doomsday Prepper's Blog TV, where there is no cosmic counter and its first revision, Emergency Survival Hygiene, were written out of need to bring more awareness to one of the most overlooked areas in preparedness, personal hygiene, by showing easy ways to make survival personal hygiene products. After all, infectious diseases are the #1 cause of death worldwide. In her book, What Could Possibly Go Wrong? How to Go From Completely Clueless to Totally Prepared, She talks to the reader in easy to understand language about her personal experiences and what she has learned could go wrong around us and how we can better prepare ourselves and our family for these uncertain times. You can get a hold of Survivor Jane at www.survivorjane.com. That's www.survivorjane.com. So let's go ahead and welcome Jane to the show. Today I am here with Survivor Jane, and I'm so honored to finally have Survivor Jane on the show. Jane, thank you so much for coming on.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you, Sarah. It's my honor and privilege to be here. Thank you.
Well, you know, talking with Rick as many times as I have, I'm like, you know what? I really got to meet Jane because, you know, I've got to have this donut recipe for one thing.
Wow. Oh, listen to you.
So that perked my interest. I was like, all right, so we got to get Jane on the show. And I knew this topic was right in your wheelhouse. My team has just arrived in Texas, and they're showing the militia quarters. And Erica's surprised by the community focus and the amount of basic supplies that they just have stockpiled, things like soap and cleaning products and stuff like that. So, you know, I personally feel that it is an area of preparedness that is severely overlooked, and I know you have a book on this. So why don't you go and introduce yourself and your book, and then we'll go ahead and get into some of the nitty-gritty.
Well, thank you. As you said, I'm Survivor Jane. I will throw out there, if you're ready for an expert, then go ahead and tune out now, because that's not what this is about. This is just friend to friend, preparedness-minded to preparedness-minded, sharing some of my experiences. And one of them was I'm up here all by myself with my husband, and I am not anywhere near cosmetic counter, big malls, and what have you. I left that lifestyle in 2008, and I have to tell you, Sarah, I kind of pined there for a while. I couldn't get the latest lipsticks. I couldn't go get the nice fake face makeup and blah blah blah. I'm a girly girl, and no matter. The goats, they don't care. The animals don't care.
Right.
They want to be fed. They don't care. But I do, and I didn't want to lose that. So I wrote a book, Survivor Jane's Guide to Emergency Survival Hygiene. It's a prepper cookbook on how to make survival personal hygiene products, because I can't go out and buy like I used to, so I have to make. And so I will share with you. You want to talk to me and ask me questions, I'll do the best I can. If you'd like to get the book, shameless plug, it's on Amazon. Christmas time is coming. And I think hygiene is the ugly stepchild, Sarah.
I would have to agree.
Yeah, it's just kind of like way down on the totem pole, and it should be like pretty close to water as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly. You know, we wouldn't have to have as many medical supplies as long as we stay clean.
Yep.
Right. So, you know, it definitely hedges your supplies there, you know, staying clean, being able to clean your area. Yeah. Is survival. Exactly.
Yep.
There's so many nasty diseases that you can get so quickly, you know, just stories out of the flood and that of people getting that flesh eating disease and things, you know, it can creep on you really, really quickly. So if you're not prepared for that, you're dead in the water.
Yep.
Well, let's start with an easy one, kind of, because I've heard many, many different recipes on this. So what do you feel is the easiest soap product to make? We want to clean our bodies first. What do you think the easiest soap product for the layman out there to make would be?
Okay, I'm going to throw this out at you, and it's going to be probably a shocker to you, because it's not soap. It's water. It's water in a washcloth, period. The key is you need to stay clean, and that means getting that dead, dry skin off your body. There's this misconception, and let me tell you, you know, when we think of body odor, we think that it's because we're sweating or we're dirty. That's not what it is. It's actually caused by bacteria on your body that feeds on the proteins that sweat causes. So if you get that dead skin, you get that bacteria off. Now, I actually did an experiment, because I will never tell somebody to do something that I haven't done myself. And I literally took a bowl, like a good old mixing bowl, and filled it up with half water. I didn't boil the water. I didn't heat the water. I had good old tap water, if you will. And I put a washcloth in, and I washed from head to toe every day without any soap.
Mm-hmm.
and you would be amazed at how soft your body is. You're
Huh.
getting all of that. All you are doing is taking that washcloth and you are actually just bathing in. Now, I will tell you, so just kind of get prepared for this. The water's going to be filthy. It's
Uh-huh.
going to be. But it's the same as getting in a bathtub and
Right.
soaking in dirty
Yeah.
water. This, you're just rinsing off and washing. And it is just absolutely amazing to just wash with water and a washcloth. Then, instead of drying off with a towel, just let your body naturally dry. And I always just put a little bit of olive oil on and I smooth it on my skin. Just, that's the girly part to make it. But
Right. To
it is
make it soft.
really, really amazing. So you don't the misconception is you do not use soap. In fact, if you go back in history and read what others used to do, number one, you hear the old, oh, it's Saturday night bath, because a lot of people didn't even bathe
Right.
for a whole week. They just
And
did
then you
the
had to
old
do
Saturday.
like the water with the family, like you
Oh,
had to get it.
everybody
Yeah.
did.
Yep.
I did that. I was the youngest of the girls. I have two older sisters. Nobody wanted to take a bath after me because I played hard. I mean,
Right.
it's like I am out there in the dirt. I'm in the trees. I mean, I played hard. So, but yes, my older sister would take a bath, then my next sister, and then I would take a bath. And I'll tell you what, that was some nasty water. But you know what?
Right.
I'm
Ew.
okay. I'm
Yeah.
healthy. I'm not
Yeah.
sick. That just grosses people to no end. They'll fill a bathtub up with 25, 30. I don't know how many gallons a
Uh,
bathtub holds, to tell you the
yeah.
truth, but
Ours is
you know,
huge.
a lot of it, and then they'll drain it so somebody else can get in. Well,
Yep.
I'm sorry, in a survival situation, or as we're talking about the scenario in the book, no, you don't have you don't have that luxury. A half a gallon of water at most is all you need to actually. Now, um, you might want to do okay, what's the less dirty on my body, and then kind of work from there.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
bottom line is, that's my answer. It's a washcloth and water.
All right. Yeah. That's much easier than worrying about how to, make all those soaps and everything.
Yep, yep, absolutely.
Hmm. Very interesting. So, what would be a time when you would actually when a soap would be relevant? Like maybe you're just oily, into some deep oils or something that you have to get off, or
You know what? In my book, Emergency Survival Hygiene, I have everything and anything that you would need to clean yourself. I mean, all of it can be made with food stores, and that was the most important thing. I
okay,
think what we forget about is that the majority of the stuff that was made from natural products.
mm-hmm.
I mean, like our herbs. Yes, essential oils are good, so haters don't get at me, please, please. But the bottom line, we're not going to have those
No,
when the poop hits the sand. We're not going to have that stuff. So you're going to have to think about growing your stuff now, so you would have it. Focus on things like baking soda and cornstarch and oils, coconut oils and olive oils. I
and those things
literally
store for a really long time.
long
If you,
time,
uh-huh.
and you don't need a lot, and that's what I have to stress. You don't need a lot of stuff. Um, that's what I would say is don't focus so much on um, toilet paper and what have you. Let me tell you a cute little story. It's just short. Um, Rick and I were on Doomsday Preppers. We were number two, the highest rating of all the seasons. We were really excited about that. But the number one, the person that actually won, had a $7 million fortress and had floor to ceiling toilet paper.
Oh, what?
I mean, really? Number one, I don't have $7, let alone $7 million. And
Right.
I actually created this thing, and people giggle about it, but it's called my Heine hydrant. Some people have heard about it, some people haven't. It all came about, what am I going to do to clean myself if
Right.
I don't have any toilet paper? I'm the type of person, Sarah, in all honesty, I would pick the wrong leaves out there. It would
Right,
be
okay.
poison ivy or sumac or something, and I'd have bigger problems than a dirty Heine. So I took a little garden sprayer, and I noticed that I could adjust the nozzle. And I thought, you know what? I bet this would work as a survival bidet. So I took it in
Right.
the bathroom, and it was disastrous. The wand was too big. It squirted the bathroom wall. It was like,
Oh,
oh gosh,
no.
okay, this is not really, really good. So I thought, wait a minute, I cannot be defeated. So I cut the wand in half, and then I boiled it in some water to put a curve on it,
Right.
and voila! Now I can put a half a gallon of water that will last all week, for anybody and everybody. Now Rick was like, I am not using that thing. Forget it.
Right.
Well, now he won't go anywhere without it. We go to prepper camp, and he's like, Did you bring my bidet? Because it's just
Nice.
we don't use toilet paper here. We don't
Yep.
have to use toilet paper here. I have a nice little stack of white washcloths that I use if you want to dry off a little bit. Throw those in and wash them up. I can wash them by hand. And Katie barred the doors. I'm done. So my mission, my little soapbox, if you will, is there's no excuse to be dirty. There's none. Absolutely none. I don't care how hard you have to get out there after the poo hits the sand and you're working harder than you ever have. You can still come in and clean up. And like you said, fend off the infections, fend off the diseases, fend off the things that are going to be so prevalent out there after something really not good happens.
Well, that's what I'm worried about because I'm a little bit clumsy. Like it runs in my dad's side of the family. And so if I'm going to cut myself with a saw, it's going to happen. Or an axe, I've taken my finger off kind of thing,
Yep, I've done it.
Those things are bound and determined to happen to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that could be like, where the infection starts. And then you have this and that, then you're dying from like a blood infection. But if you can just stay clean, then none of that happens because the bacteria doesn't have a chance to actually grow.
Absolutely.
And you can use like just a little topical antiseptic to stave that off. So
I'm not
that's
saying to stay away from first aid by any means,
Right.
way. But
Yeah,
there are so
yeah.
many natural things that you can use that are just unbelievable.
Right. And cleanliness is just first on the list. I mean, you cannot be a dirty dirt ball, get a cut, and think it's not going to get infected.
Absolutely. Or a splinter.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how about our clothes and laundry? How, if we had a lot of people in one area, well, let's start with the single and then we'll ramp it up to if we have a lot of people. So what are you thinking for just, yourself, Rick, your household? What's your most efficient way?
I'll tell you what I have here. It's a contraption, and I will tell you right now, this is not a paid endorsement or anything like that. This is just something I have that works awesome. I mean, unbelievably awesome. It's a contraption called the Wonder Wash. And Sarah, it's like a big honkin', maybe 2-foot egg-shaped thing that's on a spindle, if you will. And you fill it with warm water or cold water. It works just as well. Put the lid on it, and you spin that sucker around for 2 minutes. So what happens is, as it flops, if you have warm water, it actually builds up pressure. And that pressure gets in there and washes the clothes. Now, you need a minimum, like a minimum of maybe a tablespoon of some type of powdered or liquid detergent, not that much at all, because it all works with pressure. Then I just pour that water out, the dirty water out. I fill it back up, not fill it up. I put, again, like half or a quarter in water just to rinse it out a little bit. And then I looked for ringers, and oh my gosh, I can't even, I was shocked at the price of, the old-fashioned ringers that our grandparents use?
Yeah.
Oh my
word.
Squish
it through the little rollers.
They are really expensive. So what I did was I went to a box store and bought one of these commercial-grade mop ringers that you see custodians. Oh my God. So I put my clothes in there. I pull the lever. It squishes the water out. I hang it. I'm done. The whole from put it in the water, change the water, rinse the water, hang it up. 10 minutes. I've got 2 pairs of jeans, 2 shirts, all of our underwear and undergarments, and they're hung up and they're ready to go. I'm not plunging with a plunger. I'm not. I tried wringing with my hands. You get blisters really fast. So anybody that thinks they're going to take a tub, take their toilet plunger, and plunge the clothes and then try to wring it out, that's going to happen like maybe a couple times until your hands are raw.
And you're like,
then you're going to say, hey, wait a minute, this is not good. So, I can have our clothes done, dried, and put out on the lawn. on the line,
Right, the
and let
hanging
her
line.
dry. I have them that evening. We got clean clothes for the next day. I mean, it's not. We are all about efficiency, and with all the animals that we have and all the chores that we have, we don't have time to focus a lot on any one task. We've got to keep things moving along. So I would say, I love that thing, and I will tell you, if you go to the regular preparedness minded stores, if you will, those
Right.
things are expensive. I went to an RV store and found it like almost half the
Oh,
price.
good thinking.
Go
Yeah.
to something that is not the mainstream media, where they're
Right.
selling all that, and go to something different, like people that travel, or
Yep.
people that are on boats, or people that are, on RVs or whatever. So that's where I found it, and it was really inexpensive, and I'm all about, okay, what can I get for this dollar? How much can I
Absolutely.
get?
Yeah. How
So,
far can I stretch it? Yeah.
yep. So, I mean, if you did have four people, if you did have more than people, let that family or let other people take their 10 minutes worth. They can spin it for 2 minutes. They can rinse it and spin it for 2 minutes. And then, they can put their clothes on the line. So it's not like you're necessarily having to be the slave, unless maybe that's what your group decided, is that you'll be the washwoman for the day or the
Right. Yeah.
washman for the day. And then so be it. But honestly, it's going to be all about time and not being tied to any one chore, when the poo hits the sand. So that's my short little answer there. It
Well,
doesn't matter how many
how's
people you
the
have.
construction of it? Like, how's it gonna hold up when it's really, if you did have a big group of people, and so it was going to somebody else each day,
Hmm?
and really getting used, how do you think it's gonna hold up?
Well, to tell you the truth, it comes with a crank. I don't use the crank because of that one thing. I'm thinking, you know what, this could be a lot of strain on it. So I sit there with my little timer. Those little things that you wind up and they ding.
Right,
The egg
like a
timer, if you
kitchen timer.
will.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I just put that on for 2 minutes, and then I just spin it and sing. And if anybody walked up on me, they think I was a crazy lady, but I
Right.
am. So it's okay. It's all good.
It works.
But that's what I do. I just spin for 2 minutes while I'm singing or reading or whatever, because 2 minutes goes by really fast.
Yeah,
It's
unless you're planking.
amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so with that, I mean, it's like, to me, I always feared the handle could break. But
Mm-hmm.
the bottom line is the spinning, and I just take it and spin it like a beach ball, if you will,
Yeah.
to
It's
let
kind
it
of
go
like those
around.
home. You can have, the little homemade ice cream makers that they have now that are like the
Absolutely.
little
That's
balls.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
That's exactly the thought process. Except for it's a little bit bigger. It's not heavy,
Right.
but I have had this for probably maybe 5 years, and it's
Wow.
it's going strong, and I use it, and never had any problem with leaking or anything. The one thing would have been the weakness of the handle, and I just
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to chance it. And I'm really good at, when I do buy something, I do a lot of review. I mean, I do a lot of research to see what people said, what is the weakness of it, how long will it last, and whatever. And knowing that we might not have the energy to put into a washer machine
Right.
or something like that, this was our answer.
Yeah, and I've seen one. They had this show called Colony, and it not
Yeah,
the TV show. They did like a alien TV show after, but the you've probably seen it where they dropped
yeah.
like a group of people off in New Orleans and things like that after the hurricane and stuff, and they had built a bicycle that had like a drum on the front of it, and it
Mhm.
turned, and would
Yep.
wash their clothes. And I'm like, that's a great idea, but you got to sit there, and how long does that take? How much are you putting in
Honestly,
there? How
yeah.
much water are you putting in there?
And that's what
So,
you have to think about. Some of these things, some of us are consumers. We're trying to create our preps around today's world and today's lifestyle, and unfortunately, we are such consumers that
yeah,
we're
it's
going to
not
be kind of
realistic.
shocked. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
going to be totally shocked
Yeah.
when something happens.
Every weekend I have a mountain of laundry and there's
Yeah.
four of us. I'm like, who
Yep.
moved into our house that I don't know about?
I know.
Because
Can you stop changing clothes
right?
every day? Can you not just stretch it out for a couple
And
days?
then my
Jeez.
husband's like, well, most of it's yours, and I'm like, I wear like the same sweatshirt a couple
Yep.
days in a row.
Yep.
I really try to not produce But because I work out all the time and things like that, I'm constantly changing clothes into a different outfit
Yep.
to get sweaty and
Yep.
then take that off, shower. I'll put my sweats back on, but still it builds up so fast. And there's just no way you can handle that. You're going to have to like seriously rethink that in in an SHTF situation. There's no way.
And honestly, it has got to be a community effort. It
Hmm.
really can, unless you have your chores broken down to, okay, you're going to do this today or what have you. But we're going to get dirty clothes, or yeah, can you put your dirty clothes back on? Yeah, you can.
Hmm.
I've had to do that. It's like, okay, I walked out, the goats jumped on me, I'm clean. I am not going to take those dirty jeans and put them in the hamper. No, I'm staying in them all day, and that's
Yep.
the way it is,
Yep.
And it's like, it's gross, but you know
Yeah.
what? Things are going to be gross. I
My
promise
friends
you they're
from
going to
the
be gross.
city come out, and they're in like heels and
Yeah.
white jeans. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you don't even wear an outfit nearly like that around my
Nope.
house. Like,
Nope.
if I
Because
put on something like that, it's like in the car, out the door. Like, I'm not staying here any
yeah,
length
it's
of
like
time.
lock the animals up so you give me a head start.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. The dogs. Yeah.
Yep.
Because I have to wear white pants when I go to martial arts. And I'm like, just stay away. Stay away from me,
Oh
please.
gosh.
And then, we have the challenge with our water. It has a lot of iron in it. So it
Hmm.
constantly wants to turn my uniforms orange. And
Oh yeah.
yeah. So I'm like, can we like wear orange uniforms? We live in the country, like we look like we're all police or convicts in there.
Yeah.
So how about laundry soap? What
Okay.
do we need to make laundry soap?
Well, I will throw it out there. There are a bagillion recipes
Yeah.
out there on the interwebs, on how to make your own laundry detergent. Some of them are liquid, some of them are powder, but they all kind of seem the same.
I'd
And it's,
rather do like
that,
a powder, I think, if I needed something. It just seems to me like it would hold better and do better.
well, these are, washing soda, borax,
Hmm.
maybe a gentle soap that you have to grate. And I'll tell you what, grating soap, if you've never done it before with those graters and you're grating your knuckles, all the pieces,
Uh-huh.
it's not easy. And some people say, well, I'll just take my Cuisinart and I'll just, you're not going to have all that, girly girl. So
Yeah.
just leave it alone. Do it the old fashioned way, because that's how you're going to do it. And I tell you, I have made the liquid and I have made the powder, and it lasts a long, 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 long time. But honestly, sometimes I just buy the cheap chips stuff at the grocery store that
Hmm.
you can get, like, I don't know, 52 gallons of it for $1 or something. Who knows what's in it? But, again, I'm not really focused on the sparkly white clean like you are for the uniform. I just
Right.
want to be clean. I just want my
Right.
clothes not to stink so I can put them back on and call it another day. So yeah, you can make your own laundry detergent. You can do all that stuff, but you know what? You got to think back to number one, how did the third world countries do it? They don't have all this fancy laundry stuff. They have rocks and they have water and they
Fair
have
enough.
manpower, arm,
Yep.
muscle power, So
Yep.
again, we got to kind of get away from that, and that's going to be a tough one. It really is, because we are thinking I'm going to have everything the way that I did before. When
The
something
normalcy
happens,
bias, right? We
yep,
want
yep,
to go back to our,
absolutely.
okay, this is how it was. This is how it's going to be now.
And it could be that it's
Makes
never
sense.
going to be that way.
Yeah.
So we got to kind of take that pill.
And I've heard too that just when you hang, if you just wash your clothes in water, like you say, with the rocks and stuff like that, and then when you hang them out in the sun, that the sun actually kills a lot of the
They do
bacteria
the
that's there.
UV, yeah, the
Hmm.
UV rays,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, think back to, and people don't want to, or people aren't even realized how things were
Or
done way
wait,
back
I
when.
got one for you though. People back then didn't live as long as we do, and that because they weren't, doing the same kind of things that we do
Yep,
as far as
yep.
staying clean and stuff. So, yeah,
Yeah, who
there's a
knows
line
what we're
there,
filled
right?
with though with chemicals? You know what? I mean, we might
Yeah.
be preserved. We're not necessarily living long because of anything more than we're pickled,
I
from
love
all
it.
the
Yes,
chemicals.
that's true. That's true. I was just talking about that with my husband the other day. I was like, yeah, I wonder, because bread, it stays good so long. All these things stay like good so long. And when you make them yourself, they don't at
Scary,
all.
yeah.
And you're
scary,
like,
isn't it?
okay, so what are they putting in us? Like maybe they're just preserving us. Like
We
that's
are.
why
Yes.
we live longer. Crazy. Oh, that's funny. So, okay, just on cleaning, on cleaning the
Yeah.
house, we got our feather dusters, things like that. Broom works just as good, but sometimes you got to get down and do some disinfecting if you were,
Yes,
cleaning
you do.
chickens on your counter or something like that. So, what would you suggest there?
Well, I'm just telling you, I always think, I try to think out of the box is what I try to do. And the little, not to use a name brand, but the little Swiffers, the little brooms that you put the nice little white things on and
Yep.
you clean the floor. Well, we don't have air conditioning up here. We don't have central air. It is way back to nature. Open the windows up and get a crosswind if we want any
Yeah,
cool
we
air.
don't have air
And
either.
what that means is the house is filthy. Now,
Yep.
people will visit
Yep.
and they'll say, well, this isn't filthy. It is to me when it's got dust all over or the floors are dusty or whatever. So what I took was a little microfiber, little washcloths about, oh, I don't know, 12 inches by 12 inches. Um, and I took the old fashioned dust mop because the dust mop was just moving it around. And I
Right.
would lay
Yeah.
that over the dust mop. And so it clings to those frills, if you will, or whatever you call, I don't know what you call dust mop strings or whatever. But anyhow,
Right. The edges. Yeah.
you
Whatever.
lay that on there and it clings to it, and then I can just go all through my house and it picks up all that dust. And again, I can hand wash these and make a nice little pile of them, and that is my way to at least keep things a little bit dust free. But
Hmm.
as far as cleaning, wow, on the counters
Right.
or walls or handrails or whatever, our honestly go to is vinegar. I
Hmm.
mean, you just cannot go wrong with vinegar. Well, people say, "Well, you're not going to be able to have vinegar when something happens." And you know what? That's right. But you know what we do have? We have grapes. We have a vineyard out in the survival garden,
Uh huh.
and I can actually take those grapes that still have their own natural yeast on it. I can ferment them. I can go from the stage of making wine and just let it continue to go over to vinegar. And we have
Hmm.
that to disinfect. And because a lot of times when Rick was talking, people would say, well, I don't make wine. And he goes, no, that's okay. We make wine, but we just let it continue on and turn into vinegar. Because you don't want to use um, you don't want to use things that you actually use for first aid, like sometime peroxide. Use
Right.
peroxide or use alcohol or use
Yeah, but you'd want
some
to
of those type of
conserve
things. But
that, right?
absolutely, that's
Hmm.
for your first aid. So let's say you are just bathing with a washcloth and water. You cut yourself. A washcloth and water is not necessarily going to be the ticket. You're going to have to
Right.
use some type of first aid. So honestly, our go-to is vinegar for cleaning, and we make it here.
Yeah. Vinegar is a great idea. Would grapes would be awesome here as well. What other kind of items could you use to easily make vinegar as well as grapes?
You know what? I don't know. I would have to make it up because we only use. In fact, I was just fascinated to learn that the grapes had the natural yeast on it, so you didn't have to
Right.
add anything. You just put it in there. So, honestly, I don't know.
Yeah, I think
I
juniper berries are the same way that
Oh,
they
okay.
produce a yeast as well. And then you have your apple cider vinegar, which is why I was curious. I'm like, how does that
Yep,
work?
yep.
So that's probably where I'd look into plant some apple trees and do some apple
Mhm.
cider vinegar.
And
That's
we
up
and we
my.
do have apple trees, but
Hmm.
unfortunately, the goats get them before the vinegar was even made. So
Right.
yeah, I think that would be awesome. That would be an awesome,
I've
probably an
watched the deer
experiment to
get
have to
drunk
try.
on those.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, all right, thanks, guys. So great point. I had something else I was going to ask you about that, but I'm drawing a blank now because I got to thinking
Uh-oh.
about the apples. And yeah, so of course,
Good, because I'd have to make it up, and we don't want that.
Oh,
So
yeah, exactly, exactly. Oh, I was going to tell you about the oak bark astringent. So oak bark, you can actually make an antiseptic out of oak bark,
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
and it's
Yep.
really,
I
really
haven't.
effective.
Yep.
There are oak trees across the whole country,
Oh
so
yeah, we
that's
got red. and
Yep.
white oaks everywhere. So
Yeah, that's when I try to tell people, like, learn how to make the oak bark astringent because, you don't
Yeah.
have endless supplies of rubbing alcohol and hydrogen peroxide and stuff too.
Yep.
So
Well,
that'd be a good
again,
one.
getting back to a lot of this stuff, Sarah, it's in our backyard or it could be planted.
Yes, and we just
It
don't
could
know it.
be, yeah. Instead of
Mhm.
spending, again, haters, please be kind to me, but instead of spending all this money on luxuries, as in to, and I'm not saying essential oils are bad because I have some myself, but I think the natural, like the oak bark and the
Mhm.
rosemary and the herbs and the, all the things are going to be a little bit more beneficial than your little bottles that are going to run out.
Right,
These
yeah.
are perennials
Unless you
that'll
have like
happen over and over.
fields of that herb and
Yeah.
all the machines to make it, you are not
Yep.
going to have essential oils. That's
Not
that's
going to
not the
happen.
ticket. Yep. So what do you suggest, like on a basic level, that we would, store for cleaning products?
Okay. Well, cleaning products again. I'm just going to go for. I'm literally only going to go for things that would help me, and vinegars. Honestly, as far as cleaning goes,
Yeah, I stock a lot
I
of
don't know.
the white vinegar.
Yeah, that's my go-to. So I don't
Hmm.
have anything else to add except for that
Okay.
I have vinegar, and I'm not a big fan, Sarah, on storing a lot of big items unless they can
Yeah.
be multi-purpose for
Yep.
cooking and cleaning and hygiene. That's just
Well, that and
my
yeah,
mind.
vinegar is your ticket there because
Yep.
I think about all my canning activities and just how much you can store if you just pickle it. You can
Yep.
store
Yep.
a lot of products just pickled. So I just keep
Absolutely.
packing away
Yep.
the
Yep.
vinegar,
Yes.
like, well, because where we are, we have a lot of wildfire risks. So it's always like you're always in a balance between how much do I stock and what if the house burned down and we lost it all,
You
you
know what?
know?
I'm always about multi placement, if you will. I
Hmm.
am not a big fan of the all eggs in one basket. You've
Yep.
got to have other areas. You just have to have other areas. And people go, well, how do I do that? Be creative. I don't know
Yep.
how to tell you. I don't know how to tell you, but if you had a storage area away from the property or on the other side of your property or at
Yep.
your friend's
Or
house
even
or
buried
whatever.
deep enough the fire wouldn't hit it, kind of
Yes,
thing.
yes. I
Hmm.
mean, you have got to, because there's not one answer. What I do is not necessarily going to work for you or for your listeners. They've got to be creative. People always say, "Well, Jane, what do you do?" It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
I can
matter what
tell.
you do; it might not work for me.
Right. And so you
Yep.
have to be creative. Take what I've said, take what I've shared, and see if it'll work for you. If not, find alternatives to what will work for you.
Absolutely. That's a good point. Do you know will vinegar store like pretty much indefinitely?
I don't know. I
I'll
have
have to
no
check that out.
idea. Nope, I don't know. I'd like
Yeah, I
to
was
say,
just thinking about
yeah,
that.
scientifically speaking, and the research that I've done, it said, but no, I have
No.
no idea. I
Okay.
have not a clue.
Okay. Yeah, that I'll find out because that'd be something good to know. Like how so if we
Yeah, what is
super
the shelf
stock
life?
it, right? How
Well, you
often
know
do we
what?
need to rotate that?
A lot
Canning
of
season,
people.
we blast through it though.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And you're thinking Clorox. You know what?
Mm.
I have Clorox. I have tablets. I have shock.
Oh.
I have all
Mm-hmm.
of this stuff. But every time you turn around, Sarah, I was doing a talk one day, and I said, "Oh yeah, well this has got the shelf life or whatever." No, because they changed it on me. Now
Mm-hmm.
the chemical makeup of the Clorox today, from even what it was 5 to 10 years ago, is completely different. The
It's so
shelf life
true.
is completely different. So
Yep.
just when you think you've got it down,
they
they change on
change
you.
it.
So I don't know. Yeah.
You know what I found? You can buy the chlorine tabs for your pool,
Yeah.
and they come in the hard tablets.
Yep.
Those things will store for like a lot of years.
But that's
So you're
good
better
because
off to
I have those.
yep,
But
you're better
you
off
know
to
what?
buy it in the tablet.
A lot of us are storing things thinking, okay, this has got a 12-year life shelf life. Well, that's all well and good. How long have you been prepping? Oh, about 15 years. Okay,
Yeah,
guess what? Guess
it's
what?
over.
Yeah,
Yup.
so you have to really think about it. Just because you have something doesn't mean that it's good now. It might
Right.
have been good 3
Then
years prior to, but now, so, there's a lot to this, and it's almost like a science, if you will.
it is.
You can't just say, okay, I have this and it's going to last blank. I mean,
No.
you're
No.
talking canning. canning lids. You know,
Oh yeah.
they're out of cheap chip stuff now. I mean, you can take your thumbnail and put a dent in 'em. The box
Yes, it
says,
is so true. Even the
yeah,
lids with the rings. I mean,
yeah,
I bend them all the time now, and I'm
yeah.
like, I never used to be able to bend them like that.
You read on the side of the box, good for a year.
Yep.
I'm just like, what do you mean good for our grandparents? They had stuff you could open up 10 years later and it was as
Right.
fresh as could be. But, it's consumer. They want you to buy more. They don't want you to store a long time. So I don't know if there's a conspiracy against us
Do you
that
use
you are
any
not
of
going
the
to.
Do you use any of the reusable
No, I
lids?
don't. I
I
don't.
don't. I don't either.
I do not. I mean, will I reuse lids? I
Yes.
will reuse lids for vacuum sealing, for
Yep.
short time, or if it's
Right.
perfect, because I've looked and I watched somebody do and I wish I could tell you who it was, but I don't know who it was, but on YouTube, if you look at the can that comes with the jar, it's already got an indentation in it from the
Yes.
machine pushing it and putting the jar on it. It's not a fresh ring to start with. It has already got the ready-made indentation to it.
It's true.
So it's like, and
It's different than the ones that you buy, like when you buy them separate from the jars.
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I am not. Again, I watch my pennies, and I'm not going to go and spend money on something I've just bought. So I use the ones
Right.
that I do and check them all the
Yep.
time, and I call it a day. So
And they work. And then I save my old ones. I don't necessarily use them, but I figure, if it is a grid down situation, that's all you got.
do
Well, give it a
do
try, you know.
I will. You know what?
So
I do. So
I totally would too. I
Yep.
totally would too. So Jane, what other products do you think that would be beneficial that we could share today on the show?
Okay, well, as I mentioned, hygiene. It is not the ugly stepchild that it shouldn't be. Let me just say,
Right.
hygiene is all about. Did you know that infectious disease is one of the number one causes of death worldwide?
Yes.
Worldwide. We
I would
want
believe it.
to avoid infection at all costs, and a lot of that's going to go hand in hand with hygiene and good health. Um, we talked about bathing. We talked about washing with just water and a washcloth. Oh, but what about my hair? My hair's all dirty.
Oh,
Hey,
the
you
hair,
know what?
right.
You know what? Take 1 tablespoon of baking soda and put it in 1 cup of warm water. There's your shampoo. I
Uh-huh.
mean, is it got suds? No, it doesn't, but it makes your hair really, really clean. Yeah, but you know what? I need
What
to have
about it
conditioner
soft?
too.
Yeah, it's got to
It's
be
like
soft. Yeah.
got to be soft. So again, 1 tablespoon of vinegar. We talked about cleaning and how good it does. With 1 cup of water, there's your conditioner. Okay, you've got clean hair now. Move
Huh.
on, move on. But you know what? I am a girly girl, and I do wear makeup. Like I said, the old goat. He cares more than the goats themselves, or the ducks and the chickens and the
Right.
whatever. But I do like to be a girly girl, and I don't want to throw the towel in yet. Even though I'm covered with poop, it doesn't matter. I still want to look okay. So I learned how to make makeup. And it's not the traditional makeup as in going and spending $15 for a tube of lipstick or $30 for a compact or whatever. But you can take a little bit of cocoa powder and a little bit of cornstarch and you can make your own bronzer, which is like a little face powder, if you
Mm-hmm.
will, so that you don't look like The Walking Dead. And I mean, things like taking raspberry and just put a little bit of cornstarch in it just to make a little paste. There's your little rouge. I mean, it's like you
Right.
can look a little bit. Let me tell you this. You might already know it, you might not, but Maybelline, the way that they made their Great Lash, which has been forever. I don't even know what 19. I don't even know. Whenever it came out, it's the same tubes that are coming out. And you know what it was made out of?
Hmm.
Vaseline and charcoal. That was
Ah.
their mascara. Petroleum jelly. So you can take, if you want to, and I've tried it, is you can burn an almond until it's got just the black coal or charcoal left over.
Right.
Put a little bit of petroleum jelly in it. Now, I know you haters are going to say, oh my gosh, you're going to ruin your eyesight, and blah, blah, blah. You know what? I did a lot of research, and I didn't come up with one person that died of eye poisoning because they use Maybelline Great Lash Kohl or whatever. So
Right?
I'm just saying, it's all about a morale booster sometime. Let's
Exactly.
just
Yep.
say that if the poo hits the sand and all of a sudden you want to go on a romantic date with your hubby and you want to look a little nice.
Right.
You want to look a little bit special. That's what I'm talking about here. I'm not talking about necessarily throwing in the consumer products if you don't want to, but there are ways that you can do things, to make yourself look a little bit
What about for
nicer.
lips? Because that could be beneficial as far as like, you get chapped lips and stuff
Oh yeah.
all the time,
How about
right?
a little bit of coconut oil with a little bit of raspberry to just put a little bit of
Mm.
tint on your lips? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
then you've got your instant lip gloss. I mean, it's like they're easy peasy things. How
Yeah.
about the beastie nasty blemish? That god awful pimple thing that you got on your face that we
Right.
always want to just get in there and fight like it's our, fight to the death. It's like leave it alone. Don't
Right.
attack it. Just leave. Don't send your
Let it
spend
go.
your energy on bad guys, not on your face. All you need to do is wash your face and just put a little bit of olive oil on it. Just dab it on there. It sounds weird, but if you go back to those science days, somehow oil fights with oil. I don't know how because it just sounds like it's counterintuitive, but it actually will go in there and break up the oils in the blemish and it will heal it. So that's what I do whenever I see something. It's like, and like I said, it's dusty and it's dirty here, and I try to keep clean. But you know what? I'm sorry. I get those beasties sometime, and it's like I feel like I need to name it. It's like, oh my God, who are you? What are you doing on my face? But you can do easy things like that with just a little dab of olive oil. And let me see. Oh,
Olive
this
oil, though, how could you actually produce that like yourself, or we should probably have a
no.
bunch of it
I'll
stocked up?
tell you what.
Yep.
That's part of your food storage because we've looked
Yep.
into olive trees and they ain't happening. And
Uh-huh.
it would be almost like the essential oil, Sarah. There is not
It's
a
really
tree big
difficult.
enough that you
Yeah.
could squeeze enough or process enough or distill enough or however it even happens.
Right.
So I would say
Yeah,
watch
because I've
for
heard that
the
olives are like poisonous if you don't leach them, kind of like an acorn, that they have to be leached first.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a huge process to actually
Honestly,
break that
even
down.
acorns are. If you've ever tried to do that,
Yep.
I mean to
Yeah.
tell you, that is a long process. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't even realize that.
So my trick is, the back of your toilet's clean, right?
Yes.
So I put my acorns into pantyhose and then I put
Yep.
them in the back of the toilet, and that way
Yep.
every time people flush it, it
Mhm.
pushes fresh water through those acorns and it leaches them out pretty quickly. But it
And I
makes your toilet look gross for a while, I'm not going to lie.
Well, I've heard that because who has a stream necessarily that they can
Right.
go down, and a lot of people don't have that. So with that, it's like, and we have a compost toilet. I am not putting anything in back of the toilet because we don't have anything. It's just
Uh-huh.
it's a poop
Gotcha.
chute, and you don't put
Yep.
anything anywhere. So,
Yep.
but you know what? Another little secret is, a lot of times when we're getting older, we look a little tired, we look a little worn, and it's because we're losing our eyelashes and our eyebrows. You
Hmm.
can actually add again olive oil to them, and they will grow out fine. And I was wondering, it was like, why are they so thin? And I just took a little mascara container jar or tube thing and I cleaned it out really well and I cleaned the wand and I poured just a itty bitty bit of olive oil on it and I would put it on my eyelashes at night. Just not a lot, just a little bit. And
Mhm.
it's amazing. It was like, holy moly. Now, I will tell you, it's not an overnight wonder, but
Right.
it does work both on your eyebrows and on your eyelashes. And it'll take a good, I don't know, 6 months. But again, people want instant gratification, and
Of
that's
course,
not the
nowadays.
answer. But it
Mhm.
will happen, and it can. So again, that's just something you have in your food stores. And talking about growing back, add a little bit of castor oil on your scalp. Cover it for a few hours. It is a great motivator for your hair follicles. It's like, hello, start
Huh.
growing again, start getting thick.
Right. Wake
And I
up.
did that. Yep. My forehead, I had these two little areas up on either side of my forehead. It was like, this is getting thin. What is
Yeah.
going on
Yeah.
with that? And I started putting just a little. I take a Q-tip and put a little dabadooya of the castor oil on it. And doggone it, if I didn't have all new baby hair growing out, and now I have hair, so it's like, oh, Survivor Jane's going bald now.
Nice.
It's like no,
Oh,
just
that's
a
a
little
great
thin
one.
in here. But it's just amazing that
Oh, what about teeth?
teeth. I use crushed duck eggs. I was like, what kind of duck? Yeah, I take my duck eggs. I will use the eggs itself. Then
Right.
I'll dry them out. Then I boil them really, really well. Dry them out again, and I crush them. Add them with a little, and I mean finely crush them like a almost to a
Like in a
cornstarch.
coffee grinder
That's
or something.
really, really,
Yeah.
really, really, really fine. Or I have a mortar and pesto too that I can
Yeah.
do it, and I squish them really, really well, and a little bit of baking soda, and it's just enriched with calcium because of the duck eggs.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, it's amazing. That's your toothpaste. Put a little bit of coconut oil in there, and hey, you're good to go.
Wow, I love it.
So, I'll tell you, I can go on and on and on and on and on, and I will tell you, this book is just like 300 pages packed full of every type of facial mask and hair treatment and nail treatment, because I wanted people to have that resource, and that's what my book is. It's not a sit down and leisurely book. It is honestly a survival. Put in your survival library so you'll be able to go
I was just going to
it
say
and
that.
figure
We
out,
need to get it in print. That way we have it in the library so that you have it on hand. No digital here.
Yep, no digital.
Perfect. Well, Jane, thank you so much for coming on. We ran a little bit over, but that's okay.
We did.
I loved all the information because it is so important. And I don't think, I definitely didn't realize how basic it could be. And so, I guess I was really overthinking it, I think. So,
well, you know what, and I think that's what a lot of us is. Thank you so much for letting me come on your show. I look forward to coming on again as a guest. You've been great.
And then do you have a website where people can find you as well?
Yes, it's really easy, survivorjane.com. It's got all my social media contacts. Everything is just there. If you want to email me, it's all there, survivorjane.com.
Perfect. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jane, so much for coming on the show. Some great information in there, and just, really makes it simple on how to stock these supplies and what, we really need to know to keep ourselves clean and our environment clean in an SHTF situation. I always worry about, do you stock these cleaning products? Do you not? Which cleaning products do you stock? So some great information there. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Can't wait to have you back later. Well, Jane and I went a little overboard with our interview, and we soaked up most of the time of the show, so I'm going to go ahead and end it right there. We had chapter 7 of Battle for the South today. Great chapter, just kind of laying down the framework for what's happening down south. And then we had Survivor Jane on to talk about personal hygiene and hygiene of our environment, basically, in an SHTF situation. I can't wait to have you all back next week. And until then, remember, dream, survive.
Thank you for joining Sara for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster, Without Land, The Walls of Freedom, and Battle for the South at www.author.sarafhathaway.com. If you love Sara's books and this podcast, please head over to Amazon or iTunes and let everyone know by leaving a review.